From the top rope to your collection, this is collecting the 1, 2, 3 presented by Cardboard Dugout. I am your host, Moon 3PO, with no Shield Brother today. There is no Shield Brother, there's no BroPo, and there's no Jim Bro. BroPo, if you guys have been listening to Cardboard Dugout, which is where we talk about baseball and baseball cards, or even if you heard our last episode that we did with Adam, you guys would know that BroPo is now a father of two. So he is busy doing that. Obviously, that's more important than doing a podcast. So he is busy doing that. He should be back next week on both platforms, both Cardboard Dugout and Collecting the 1, 2, 3, because obviously we're going to do a post WrestleMania reaction, probably, right after WrestleMania. So I would expect him to be on that pod. But if not, you guys know why. Jim Bro, I don't know where the hell that guy is at. I don't know why he's not on the pod today. That dude's busy doing his own thing. The dude's in his own little world, but he has confirmed that he will be on the post WrestleMania episode as well for collecting the 1, 2, 3. So he will be on there for sure. Bro Pio is up in the air. Obviously, he's doing more important things. So I'm not too worried about that. But hey, we're back. It's been a minute since we've done collecting the 1, 2, 3, and we'll talk about all that in the next couple of minutes here. But it feels good to be back here on the pod and talking some wrestling. Life has been testing me the last couple of months, so it's always good to come into the studio and talk shop, talk some cards, and talk some wrestling because that's what we love to do here. So let's first address some things here as far as the lack of content when it comes to collecting the 1, 2, 3. Obviously for the last like month or 2 months, we went balls to the wall as far as of wrestling card content. Obviously we had Topps Chrome come out, and then we had Topps Chrome Sapphire, and then it kind of went stale a little bit. I think Topps Chrome Sapphire did not go the way that we thought it would go. I think it's been, in my opinion, I would say that it's a miss. Don't get me wrong. There are some great looking cards in that set. I think Sapphire is always one of the better produced sets that Topps does in all sports, specifically baseball as well. But to me, I just think it was a Sapphire was just a little bit of a missed opportunity when it comes to the WWE side. So I think we've seen that in the sales too. There's been some big sales, but I don't think it's been as big as we thought it was going to be. So it just for me wasn't a fun set to cover. Topps Chrome obviously is very fun to cover, but there's obviously not a lot of product to rip right now. It's very hard to get, and then when you do find it, it's either one limited pickings or two, you're paying not even retail price, you're paying market price, and those prices for boxes are extremely, extremely pricey. So I just been doing breaks and stuff like that. So uh I think that's where we've been at right now when it comes to the card collecting content and the wrestling card collecting content. But this week, obviously, with WrestleMania being this week, Tomps has just dropped a leg drop on us and announced some crazy announcements. So that's what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna talk all the news that came with Topps with the WrestleMania patches, the Raw and debut SmackDown patches. If you guys haven't seen that yet, I made a TikTok about it. So feel free to follow me there. I'd also add Moon 3PO if you guys want to go check out that short form content. But we're breaking all down here, of course, into further detail. We'll talk the new Topps Chrome set that is dropping only at WWE World. That's important. I got a lot of tweets and a lot of people saying, like, how do we get the boxes and how do we get this? You can only get it at WWE World if you're obviously familiar with that. That's the little like fan event that they have before at WrestleMania in Vegas. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, we will do our WrestleMania 41 predictions, both day one and day two. So it's going to be a very star-studded episode, even though I'm by myself, but that's okay. We'll be fine. We'll make it work. Again, no Shield Brother today, but hey, we'll be all right. So let's first talk about the debut patches and the WrestleMania patches. So all this content that I'm reading from is coming from Topps Ripped. You guys can go check out the article for yourself. I'll link it down in the YouTube description and in the podcast description, wherever you're getting your audio format from, if it's Apple or Spotify. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you guys can go check out the article after you listen to this episode. So it says here WWE patches take center stage at WrestleMania and beyond. And of course, they put a cool little graphic of CM Punk. So it says here, WWE superstars to wear WrestleMania patches for one-of-one trading cards. And goes a little bit into further detail. In the world of WWE, nothing is bigger than WrestleMania, and now that energy is getting stitched directly into trading card history. In conjunction with this month's blockbuster WWE event in Las Vegas, Topps and WWE are launching two all-new patch programs, the WrestleMania patch and the main roster debut patch. These aren't your typical relic insert for the first time. WWE superstars will wear elevated logo man style patches that will be pulled straight from the action and turned into one-on-one autograph trading cards and complete with authentication, event details, and the exact moment captured. So basically, this is your MLB debut patch. Obviously, if you guys know what the MLB debut patches are, is a player when they make their major league debut, they wear a patch on their sleeve. Topps then takes that patch, throw that on a trading card, and then they have the player sign it, and then it's put into Topps Chrome Update Series. Now, as far as of right now, it has not been announced where these cards are, what set is going to be in these cards. It's not going to be at Topps now, like we've seen, like they had the John Cena socks, they had, they've done some ring mats already with that. It will not be in a Topps now. It is going to be in a product, and in the article, it does highlight that it is going to be both in a retail and hobby format. So that tells me that it's going to be some sort of, there's going to be, I would think based on reading that there is some sort of retail box that will be coming with this. It's not going to be one of these higher price products that we see like with Dynasty, Tribute Baseball, like we see with Tribute Baseball. It's all just patches and autos. So that tells me that there will be some opportunity to get these cards. So it says here, let's break it down. The WrestleMania patch. If you're in the ring at WrestleMania 41, April 19th or 20th, you'll be rocking one of these. Every superstar scheduled to compete will wear the WrestleMania patch, with many wearing it directly on their boots. I know I saw a tweet saying that what if John Cena wears it on his shirt, he forgets and throws it to the crowd, and that fan has that patch in his shirt. So it says here that they will be wearing it directly on their boots. After the final bell rings, the patches come off and head straight into exclusive cards that feature the signatures, autograph, an official COA and Fanatics hologram, and the exact match date. The main roster debut patch. Then starting with Monday Night Raw on April 21st, any superstar making their first official main roster appearance will debut the main roster debut patch. Superstars supporting debut patches will continue with every future Raw and SmackDown debut. Post-match, these patches will also be transformed into autographed, authenticated one-of-one, permanently preserving the moment that their career began on the big stage. So of course, any superstar who's making their debut on Raw or SmackDown will then get the Raw or SmackDown patch. Again, same thing is going to follow with those WrestleMania debut patches. So again, follow the same suit as the MLB debut patches. I think a big thing there with that as well is they have to be making their debut for the first time on those brands. If they already had an appearance on Raw previously, like we see with some guys from NXT, how they kind of jump up and down, like Roxanne Perez, for example, she's not going to have a Raw or a SmackDown debut patch or a Raw debut patch because she's already jumped from NXT to SmackDown or Raw. She's already done that. It has to be straight from NXT to the main roster or etc. It could be an outside hire and they can be making their Raw and SmackDown debut. So people like Ricky Saints, who's signed with NXT, once he makes his debut, we'll have a debut patch. Ethan Page, once he makes his debut to Raw SmackDown, we'll have that patch. So that's a big thing to consider there. So again, those guys who've made the jump and then go back down to NXT, they unfortunately, based on my understanding of this, will not have a debut patch. And then it says here, expanding debut patches to the WWE. This is game changing for WWE trading cards. While Topps introduced a debut patch program with MLB in 2023, like we just talked about, and expanded to MLS in 2024, this marks WWE first foray into high profile match use patch cards. These patches are superstar milestones, and each card is a one of one kind time capsule built for fans who live for the pop, the pyro, and the payoff. Keep your eyes peeled. Sets featuring the WrestleMania patch main roster debut patch cards will land in retail and hobby shops later this year. So it is coming this yearas well. We've only had 2 sets be released for right now, so we will be getting the patches for sure confirmed this year. And again, based on that, it is going to be both in hobby and retail formats. Now, I don't know why, and I feel like everybody's just bitter about like everything when it comes to Fanatics, the Tops, and whatever they're doing or with the wrestling card license. But I saw some people like hating on this idea. How can you hate something like this? To me, this is the most exciting thing that we've seen anything happen, even from the Panini era. Like this is probably one of the more exciting things that is happening in the wrestling card hobby right now. The fact that you're gonna have the opportunity, if it's purchasing a box in retail hobby and or buying into breaks, that you have the opportunity to get your favorite superstars WrestleMania moment and their patch, like that to me is it's crazy to me. I'm like lost for words. You guys can see it. like for me, you guys know I'm a CM Punk guy. I'm a CM Punk ride or die. I will do anything for that man. That man does no wrong in my eyes. And this Saturday is his first time that he's main eventing a WrestleMania for the first time in his career. Why would I not want to have the opportunity to go and get that patch? And it's autographed. Like that to me is the more exciting thing. This is John Cena's last WrestleMania, and you have a chance to be a piece of that history to say, I have a piece of John Cena's last match at WrestleMania ever. He's not wrestling after this WrestleMania. This is it for him. And this is a heel turn for John Cena, which has never happened. And it was a wrestling Cody Rhodes. So that to me is one of the more exciting things about this, and where the debut patches. So if you're following an NXT superstar like a Jada Parker or Cora Jade, Oba Femi, Ethan Page, or Ricky Saints, like we just mentioned, you follow those people, you watch them every day on Tuesday, every night on Tuesday on the CW network. You then have the opportunity to be a part of that history as well. That's something that they never will forget, and you have a chance to be a part of that history as well. So to me, it's very, very cool. I love it a lot. Obviously, you guys know we're big baseball fans, so I'm a big fan of the debut patches as well. So, the fact that we have the opportunity to get those patches in a Top Scrum update series, again, both retail and hobby formats. So I think, and that's following the same suit, it's very, very exciting. And if you hate this, I wouldn't know why you would hate this, if I'm being honest. I just saw a couple of tweets about it, and it seems like it was like a general consensus as well. So it was very, very shocking that people were hating on this idea. But now the new set that's coming out here is the Topps Chrome Cactus Jack and WrestleMania cards. Not the wrestler Cactus Jack, not the Mick Foley Cactus Jack, the Travis Scott Cactus Jack. That's right. A Cactus Jack themed cards are coming to WWE. And again, like we saw with MLB last year at Fanatics Fest, those same cards following kind of the same format are going to be available at WWE World. Again, you can only get this at WWE World. And before we go over the checklist, because the checklist is absolutely insane for a couple of reasons, we're going to talk about how you can get these boxes. So it says here, product can be purchased by WWE World attendees through EQL drops from April 17th tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to this, tomorrow or on Friday, from April 17th through the 21st. So it says here, introducing 2025 Topps Chrome WWE Cactus Jack X WrestleMania. Produced in collaboration with Travis Scott and Cactus Jack, each card in this limited set features with the WrestleMania 41 logo. Collect superstars and legends from the 100 card base set and chase after exclusive refractor Ray Wave parallels. Look for Cactus Champions inserts as well as limited autograph cards of some of your favorite superstars. 2 packs per box, 1 refractor Ray Wave parallel guaranteed per pack. And it says here, we're going to read more here about the product. And so the way that it works, so the EQL is a third-party commerce platform that helps manage the launch of exclusive products. Top is partnered with the EQL to manage new launches of unique and limited edition top products. They did that, of course, for Topps Chrome. They didn't do it for Topps Chrome Sapphire, which to me is so mind-boggling. It says here, EQL helps with, obviously helps shut down bots and things like that. So it says here, every entry goes through the multi-step verification process that confirms that you're human, slowing down bots from submitting orders. 1 entry per person because entries are duplicated against unique identification tags. It should be entered once you have verified the EQL, and then from there, as easy as it seems. So again, you have to be in person for that product. And kind of going through it here. And it says here, only fans who have tickets to the WWE World in Las Vegas will be able to claim a 2025 Topps Chrome Cactus Jack box here. And then it says here, fans who enter and are selected will receive a pickup window and will only be charged if their name is drawn. So that's like the EQL. And some of the base card parallels, the orange Ray Wave is to be numbered to 25, laser Ray Wave is to be numbered to 20, black Ray Wave refractor numbered to 10, and the red Ray Wave refractor numbered to 5. Base card autograph variation, black Ray Wave number to 10, red Ray Wave number to 5. Cactus Jack inserts, black Ray Wave number to 10, red Ray Wave number to 5, and then those will also have super fractors. Now, like I briefly just talked about here, there is the base and the checklist is absolutely insane. So it is 100 base checklist. It's gonna have guys like John Cena, Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Liv Morgan, a lot of the same people that we saw in Topps Chrome, but there are some new names and that you need to keep an eye out here for this. So going through the base checklist, there's going to be I find it funny. It's not the big name, but it says Cactus Jack. How are you gonna have a Cactus Jack product and not have the actual Cactus Jack in here? So thought that was funny. Um, but some big names here is going to be Julia. So Julia is having her first official base Chrome card in Cactus Jack WrestleMania. That it's going to be in here along with Stephanie Vicker. So Stephanie Vicker will also have her first base card in this set, which that is also very exciting. You're also going to be the opportunity to get Travis Scott. I'm looking for the name here because I saw the name in the autograph checklist, but I don't want to say it if for whatever reason they don't have a base. I'm not seeing it here. Let me just do a Control F search. I want to make sure that I'm not missing. Okay, so yes, he's number 23 in this set. But Penta is also making his debut in Topps Chrome with this Topps Chrome Cactus Jack set. And all three of those, they will have base card autographs. So Julia, she will have her first official autograph and with Topps in this set. Stephanie Vicker will also have her first autograph. She technically has her autograph in Topps and the Topps now, the one of one with her being the first NXT double champ with the North American and the NXT Women's Championship. So technically is not considered her first autograph, but her autograph for the first time in a base Chrome set is considered going to be in this Travis Scott set. And then also Penta is going to have autographs. To follow up, the base card autograph checklist is pretty small. We have Bianca Belair, Braun Breaker, Chelsea Green, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Dirty Dom, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, Julia, Gunther, John Cena, Jey Uso, LA Knight, Lyra Valkyria, Penta, Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins. The list goes on. The Rock, Tiffany Stratton, people like that. The Undertaker. Those are the list here. Again, the checklist is going to be at top. Again, I'll link that down below as well. So it's a 100 base set, not a lot of not a lot of cards to collect, which is good if you are a set collector, especially if you're wanting targeting something that's never been done before. It's not that big of a checklist, so there is that opportunity. However, I will say I would expect this to be very, very pricey. And obviously, the reason for that is there's not going to be a lot of opportunity for everybody to get a box. Like myself, I'm not going to Vegas to watch WrestleMania. I'm not going to WWE World. So I myself will not have the opportunity to buy these boxes. The only opportunity that I will have is to buy these boxes on the secondary marketplace, which I'm honestly, I would put a prediction. I would think these boxes are gonna go from anywhere up from $700 to $1,000. It would not surprise me if Topps Chrome is going for like $400 and Breaker Delight boxes are going for like $700 to $800. I will not be surprised if this Cactus Jack goes for $700 to $1,000. And base cards, they're gonna be a very, very expensive cards, and we kind of saw that the Topps Chrome did it. They're expensive too. I think Topps and baseball, I think a lot of people didn't like them because with baseball there are a lot of traditionalists where, like, if something is different from what's been very consistent in the past, people are not going to like it. I myself thought they were freaking cool. I liked them a lot. Thought they were very, very interesting when they first came out, and I'm a big fan of them. I'm trying to pick up a few here and there, but haven't been able to kind of pull the trigger because, again, they are pricey. But I think people in the baseball, again, didn't really like them just because, again, it was kind of breaking from the norm. Like, I think some people don't even know who Travis Scott is or who Cactus Jack is, and they're not a big fan of it. Um, but we're wrestling, it's a little bit different. Like, I think obviously Travis Scott has the theme songs for Raw, is the official theme song for WrestleMania, one of the official theme songs for WrestleMania. And he's had his moments with Jey Uso. Obviously, the big moment was this Elimination Chamber when he, punched the shit out of Cody Rhodes and had that moment. So, I mean, there's no denying his involvement in wrestling. Even has the shirt wrestling. I actually bought that shirt. That shirt's freaking sick. So I think his movement is a little bit more involved in the wrestling hobby in general, and I think people appreciate Travis Scott. I would say I would think they do. I myself do appreciate it. I didn't even have an issue with the moment with with The Rock and John Cena and the heel turn. I really didn't mind it. I said that on the podcast. I wasn't like one of those people that hated the moment or like despise the moment because he wasn't involved with it. Um, so yeah, I think that that's going to translate well to the cards. So I'm very very excited for it. I'm definitely going to be following it as much as I can this weekend, and then obviously on the Pulse WrestleMania pod, we'll talk about it, see what these cards are doing, what they look like in hand, in person, and yeah, it's just very very exciting. So there's a lot of things coming out with Tops WWE, and they did that, and they obviously did that this past year as well. When the Royal Rumble came around, they obviously took advantage of that, and they're obviously doing that again here at WrestleMania. So keep your eyes peeled on the Topps Chrome Cactus Jack. We're going to be covering on here, so make sure you are following the socials. You can follow me at Moon3PO. That's over on all socials: Instagram, TikTok, X, wherever you get your information. I cover all that information on those platforms, so feel free to follow me on there. I'll have the other Shield Brotherhood's info in the description down below if you want to get on the follow. Now, excuse me here, gotta take a drink of water because when you don't have co-hosts in between, you're just talking strictly for 30 to 40 minutes, and there's no break in between when you don't have any co-hosts or Shield Brothers here with you. So excuse me as I get this water here, and then we're gonna head straight into those WrestleMania predictions. Very, very good. I was fighting the urge to do a Triple H spit right now live on the pod. But yeah, I want to get y'all's guys' thoughts on that too. What do you guys think about these? What do you guys think about the patches? What do you guys think about the WrestleMania patches, the Raw debut patches, SmackDown debut patches, and of course the Cactus Jack? I love talking wrestling, love talking cards. So the fact that we get to do both now on a podcast and a content format is very, very exciting. So let's get into these WrestleMania 41, night one, night two. Let's talk about it. Let's get it going. As we approach it here, WrestleMania obviously is going to be starting at 6 p.m. East, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Peacock. If you're in the States, and I believe if you're out of the country, all of that is already available for you on Netflix. So I'm going to be looking at my phone because I'm going to have to um be going through their predictions. They did text them to me. I was trying to get them to do video, a video for me, so I can get their sound downloaded on the soundboard, and we'll obviously would have talked about it. But unfortunately, they are very busy people, so they weren't able to get a video to me. So I will be reading off. We'll go each match the way I'm seeing it right now on the website, and then we will go from there. It's just taking a little bit longer for me to load this up here. That's not what I want. All right. There we go. All right. So let's do this. Let's get into these predictions. I'll first read off everybody else. I'll read off Jim Bro. I'll read off BroPo's, and then of course, we'll give my prediction. So I'm reading it off the way that it's again on this list. These matches are not in any specific order, even though I believe we just got confirmation that Jey Uso and Gunther is going to open up night one. So keep an eye out there for that. I forgot what WrestleMania it was when they did that. Was it Seth and Brock? I don't know what WrestleMania it was off the top of my head, but I know they did that too. I know people are gonna freaking hate that, but you're gonna start off with the banger. It's gonna be a good match, and I think the last 2 weeks have definitely built up to that hype. So yeah, that's gonna be a banger. So let's first start off. This is again reading it off the way that I'm reading it off this on this website here. So the first match they're showcasing here is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Jim Bro has, and I told him to send it to me in the ninth, and he did not do that. So I'm gonna be bouncing here. So Jim Bro has Naomi picking up the win. BroPo has Naomi also with the win as well. So we're very different. I wish they were on the pod because we always have like the same ideas. I feel like, but I actually have Jade Cargill picking up the win for this one. I think Jade Cargill and making her big first match back, or not her first big match. Well, technically it is her first big match. She's had a match where she lost, but having her first match back against Naomi at WrestleMania, even though Naomi is having a hell of a heel turn, do not get me wrong, that heel turn has been one of the best executed heel turns that we've seen in a long time from a women's standpoint. I think Jade needs to win. I think Naomi can. I think the heel turn has been so beneficial for her. I think she can afford the loss. So I don't see her, and I could be wrong, but I wouldn't see her winning. I think I do see Jade Cargill picking up the win there. Now, the next match here is going to be Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, who's not Chad Gable. That is not Chad Gable. I don't care what you say. That is not Chad Gable. So Jim Bro has El Grande Americano BroPo has, and I'm going through back and forth. BroPo has, let me see here. Man, I wish I had this better saved so I can go off. You know, let me do this. Let me save this here. So BroPo has Rey Mysterio picking up the dub, and I actually do as well have El Grande Americano taking the win. I think it's gonna be one of those things where he gets to win in some cheap fashion. Obviously, he's been putting that plate in the mask and like doing like gnarly headbutts and diving headbutts to everybody. I think he'll win in that sort of fashion, and then we'll probably see some sort of involvement from the LWO or something like that, where they'll finally demask him, and then obviously we turn out to be that it's somebody that's not Chad Gable. So I think we'll see something like that for that match, and kind of end that whole El Grande Americano type thing and see where it goes from there. But yeah, again, BroPo looks like he's the only one there with Rey Mysterio taking the dub. This one here, I think this is the first match that we're all in agreement with. We have United States Champion LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. This one here, Jim Bro has Jacob Fatu. BroPo has Jacob Fatu, and I also as well have Jacob Fatu. Uh, I think this is a perfect time to put the belt on him. He's due for a title run. The dude is so over, so good in the ring, so good in the mic. He is deserving of a title. To carry on for I would say for the remainder of the year, and then this can obviously lead to the eventual storyline and breakup of not Roman Solo Sikoa and then Jacob Fatu have that storyline in between them two as the year rolls on. Maybe that's like a SummerSlam match or, a Survivor Series match towards the end of the year, whatever's going on during that time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that. So LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, even though LA Knight just had that short little run, he's been a good two-time US champion, but I just think it's a little bit difficult to go over on Jacob Fatu at this time. Uh, Next up, we have the World Tag Team Champions. We got the War Raiders versus the New Day. Looks like myself and I think BroPo also had. Yep. So myself and BroPo do have the War Raiders taking this, and then Jim Bro actually has the New Day taking over the Raw Tag Team Champions. This one, I don't think the New Day will be successful. Again, that heel turn has been the beginning of the heel turn was great. Obviously, with Big E, nobody saw that coming. And then I think after that, they kind of flundered a little bit. Like they were losing matches, didn't really pick up steam, and now they're in this good program with the War Raiders putting on some bangers. Yeah, I just don't see a world where the New Day goes over. So we'll be sticking with the War Raiders. Now, this one here is buyback opportunity. We got Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, and I believe we are all on the same page with this one. Uh, BroPo has Tiffy, I have Tiffy, and so does Jim Bro. So we're all saying that it's still going to be Tiffy time. And of course, if you guys have been living under a rock, this is MVP buyback or WrestleMania buyback, I should say. So Tiffany Stratton, if she wins this match, if you have any type of base or number parallel card of Tiffany Stratton, no insert, so it can't be any insert of Tiffany Stratton. If she wins, you will be able to take those cards into your local hobby store and turn that in for in-store credit. So I was able to buy one recently on Collect for $3. Thought that was a steal. Obviously, and the credit for a base card is $20, and the base image variation is $20. Again, if you want to go see a full breakdown of how that works, I have a TikTok about it, so go feel free to take out the TikTok. I wish I had them here. I wanted to get their opinion on it. And obviously, we'll talk off camera with them. But I'm curious how the whole consensus of how this feud has gone. I feel like in the beginning it was kind of missing the mark a little bit. Like I think Charlotte Flair was, I don't want to say walking over Tiffy, but you can see that there was like different levels. I believe it was the promo like 2 or 3 weeks ago when they were doing it in those different rooms where it was kind of like a live camera type esque where you could tell Tiffy was like sticking to the script. And then maybe that's why it led up to that segment that we'll talk about right now. Like Tiffy was kind of like sticking to the script, doing everything that she was told. And then, but you could tell like Charlotte was kind of pivoting and kind of doing her own thing. And Tiffy was just, again, sticking to the script where it just wasn't really making a lot of sense. And it showed, and it really did. And it showed, like, I think at that time too, people were saying like Tiffy really can't cut a promo. Her mic skills are okay, but they're not like great. Same thing with Charlotte Flair. She's not that good of a promo. I cut in a promo type esque, but yeah, and then we lead up to 2 weeks ago where they had that segment in the ring where it got personal real quick, and you could tell it was legitimate because they brought up like Ludwig Kaiser somehow got thrown into this mix, and he's not even that they haven't even addressed that and on TV. They're obviously Tiffany Stratton and Ludwig Kaiser are a real life couple, but that's not something that's discussed on in storyline. Same thing with Charlotte Flair. Like that was not her relationship with Andrade and all that. That I don't think I was ever discussed in storyline. So um yeah, it got really quick, and it definitely brought my interest to the match much more. At first, I was like, man, it's really kind of missing the mark a little bit disappointing. But the fact that that promo and what we saw either last week too, where obviously it was a work, but having Charlotte Flair beat up Tiffy in the parking lot, that was a well executed angle and a well executed shot. So yeah, my excitement for this match has definitely increased, but I still hopefully have Tiffany Stratton to taking the win here, and hopefully I can get my $20 in store credit. And then the next one here, we have another WrestleMania buyback. We got Gunther and we got Jay Uso. And this one here for all of us is pretty simple. You guys, I think, can kind of already tell who we have winning this one based on this little sound here. We'll play that again for everybody. Yeah, so I do have, we all have Jey Uso taking over and becoming a first time ever world heavyweight champion. Now, this one here is kind of the same situation, has picked up a lot of steam. I've always been excited for this feud from the start. I wasn't one of those homers where I'm like, oh, he shouldn't be wrestling Gunther. He just fought him at a Saturday Night Main Event. He, had his issues in the ring. I know he had that little slip up, and like everybody was ready to tear Jey Uso into oblivion. I've been a fan of it, and then obviously WWE, if it was planned or not, kudos to them. They kind of, dived into it where they was going for the spear and he slipped. And then obviously they had that little segment with Jimmy, and then Jimmy the next week or on that Friday gets his ass kicked and is bleeding while Jey Uso is tied to the rope and absolutely getting murdered. But yeah, I would be very, very surprised if Gunther still retains. Cut a hell of a promo on Monday, I would say, but we'll be very, very surprised if Gunther is able to surpass it. Me being the greedy bastard that I am, I will love if he win because I have like 3 of his base cards from Rips, and that's $60. Excuse me. Once again, you can hear the voice going out already. Again, when you're talking for 30 minutes and have no in between, a little bit difficult. So excuse me here. But yeah, me being the greedy bastard that I am, I will love kind of like I would low key wouldn't be mad about Gunther winning because I got like 3-4 base cards of his, so that's like about $60 to $80 in his store credit. So hey, won't be mad about it, but have Jey Uso when I do have 1 base card. I believe I think I have 1 or 2 if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be some in store credit as well. Now, to the night 1 main event, we know for sure that this is the main event. I don't know how the other matches are going to be in play, minus from the Jey Uso and Gunther. But from the official main event for night 1 is going to be Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. And we oddly enough had all the same people, same wrestler winning this one. We have the best in the world, the voice of the Second City Saint, CM Punk, taking this one here. Now, this is not just a homer pick for me. Obviously, like we just talked about, you guys know I'm a big CM Punk fan. So this is not just a homer pick. I picked him for Elimination Chamber. I think I picked him for the Rumble too. So I can see where maybe the idea of that I am just a CM Punk homer. And I am. I'm not denying it. But in this case here, I do truly think that he is going to get the W. Obviously, there's been the drama with Paul Heyman and the favor being that, having him in his corner. Obviously, we saw some things boil down on this past Monday with the whole like Seth Rollins trying to get Roman to turn on Paul, things of that nature. And we had the very awesome Shield shot that was perfectly executed. But yeah, I don't see a world where I can see a world. Actually, I'm lying. I can see where maybe Roman Reigns gets to win and Seth Rollins. It can honestly go either way. Doing some Scott Steiner math, 33% for each of those guys. I can see where Seth Rollins or Reigns getting the win. I'm going to call it here. I think we're going to see what we saw back in 2013. It's when the Shield faced CM Punk on a 3-on-1 handicap. It was Roman Reigns speared Seth Rollins, and then CM Punk then threw out Roman Reigns, and then no, not Seth Rollins, sorry. CM Punk, Roman Reigns speared Dean Ambrose. CM Punk then threw out Roman Reigns out of the side of the ring, and then CM Punk pinned Ambrose for the 1-2-3 and picking up the W. That's the famous quote that comes from the podcast with Coca Banner, where he kept saying that Vince kept telling him, but you have to make Roman look strong. You have to make him look strong. I can honestly see something like that happening here, where Roman spears Seth Rollins, maybe just filled still with a lot of that hatred that he has for him. Obviously they played into that as well, where he just wants to beat the shit out of Seth for everything that he's done to him, betraying him and everything that he's done. And then from there, CM Punk takes advantage of that and then pins Seth Rollins once again, and it protects Roman. And then obviously, I don't want to say protects Seth or kind of weakens the blow, but I mean when you get speared and pinned essentially by the tribal chief, there's no denying that. So that's the way I see that finish going. But overall, night one is going to be very, very exciting. I'm excited for it. And again, as a CM Punk fan, watching him in an event, his first WrestleMania, is going to be a little bit of a emotional moment for me. I followed his career, been following his career very closely since I was a youngin', so it's going to be very awesome to see that. Now, to head off into night two, again, just reading off the way that I am reading it, we got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Jim Bro has Logan Paul, and BroPo and I both have AJ Styles. Now, this build has been kind of interesting. It's been okay, hasn't been the best, hasn't been the worst. I think the match is gonna be a banger. There's no denying that. AJ Styles makes anybody look good in there. He made James Ellsworth look like a freaking ring general in the ring. So when you have, Logan Paul and AJ Styles going together, I think that's going to be a great match regardless. But I think it's where AJ Styles kind of needs a big win. I think he needs a win to kind of get going. He's kind of said that this is kind of like the last hoorah, or we're getting close to the end to the last hoorah. So it would be nice for him to get a win. And I think Logan Paul is one of those guys where he can afford a loss, even though he's, lost some, big moments and big matches. He's one of those guys where like his stock is just like, I don't want to say so high, but he's one of those guys where he doesn't really need the win, nor does he need he can afford a loss. So I don't see where Logan Paul can get a win, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Logan Paul, that's AJ Styles putting over Logan Paul. Maybe, that gets Logan Paul to do something, maybe go for the IC title, maybe put him back in the world title picture. I don't know, but, yeah, I wouldn't really be mad about, Logan Paul getting the W, but I think AJ Styles can benefit from it just a little bit more, and it will be nice since he's officially made his comeback from this injury. I think it'll be pretty cool to see AJ Styles get the W there. And then next up, we have the Sin City Street Fight. We got Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Want to make sure. Yep. All right. So this one here, we have all same winner here. We got Drew McIntyre. Again, it's one of those things where Drew McIntyre is in desire need of a win. He's obviously lost some big feuds, lost some big matches. Being thrown out of at the Royal Rumble kind of early-esque by Damian Priest, having the elimination also being having the early elimination in the Elimination Chamber. He's a guy that desperately needs a win. Obviously, he won at last year's WrestleMania, but obviously had to cash in and things like that with Damian Priest actually. So getting some payback on that. And again, Damian Priest is one of those guys where while considered a face, is not one of my favorites. If I'm being completely honest, I think he was a fine world heavyweight champion, but I think it's just one of those guys where he doesn't really need the win, and I think Drew McIntyre will benefit and from there, kind of propel to a bigger program. Next up, we got the Intercontinental Championship, the Fatal 4-Way. We got Braun Breaker, Dominic Mysterio versus Penta, and we got Finn Balor. Now I have to double check to see who we all picked. I know my pick. I know BroPo's pick. Who did Jim Bro pick? Actually, we all have the same person. All right. So we got Dirty Dom getting the win here in this Fatal 4-Way. Again, this match is gonna be an absolute banger. I think Dom just needs a championship title, man. He needs a title win. Obviously, they've hinted the breakup with the Judgment Day, within each other with Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, Carlito, things like that. Obviously, Liv Morgan also playing into that as well. Um, but yeah, I just think it would be so cool to see Dirty Dom getting a win. And I can honestly see something where it's like we just talked about that finish with the Shield and Seth and CM Punk, where it's like maybe Braun Breaker spears the shit out of Finn Balor and then takes advantage of that, and then pins Finn Balor to lead to that eventual breakup of the Judgment Day, or at least a different version of the Judgment Day, where I can see where like Liv Morgan, Raquel, Dirty Dom, Carlito, and then when JD McDonough comes back, where that's a little bit of a faction, and Finn Balor just goes off and does his own thing, or obviously has a feud with them. So can see something like that playing out for those guys. I would have, a part of me wanted to pick Penta, but I think Penta is also in that category where, while it would be nice to see him win a championship, he's just like so over with the crowd and puts on banger matches as well, where right now he doesn't need the title. I think eventually we will see him win that mid card title, and then maybe they'll do something where he reconnects with Rey Fenix, who's also on SmackDown, where then they can then team up to get go after the tag team title. But I think eventually he will get that mid card title run. Hell, maybe they put him in the opportunity to go for a championship title. At the world heavyweight title at some point if he stays on Raw, of course, and then go from there. But yeah, this time I do see Dirty Dom winning the IC title, and the dude's just due for a title. Dude's a workhorse, puts on banger matches, and is the most hated and most heated superstar on the roster. And I think just like a Liv and Dirty Dom, where they're both holding gold, I think that'll be pretty fun to see moving forward. Now, the next up here, speaking of Liv, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship. We got Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Now, I'm going to get a drink of water here before I rant on this match, because I absolutely hate this match for a couple of reasons. Now, um, oh my God. Yeah, I am not a fan of this match for a couple of reasons. One, I think the women's division has been one of the weakest points in WWE for a long time. Like, there has not been legitimate tag team women tag teams in a long time. And the fact that they threw Bayley and your Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria in a women's tag team match, to me, that is just absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. I thought that's something that creative would have fixed, especially with Triple H at the helm, but it's something that has yet to be fixed. So the fact that we again have this match here, to me, is an absolute waste. I would have loved to seen some sort of like multi-women match. And there's not even no Chelsea Green on here for the United States Championship. But if you're gonna have the Intercontinental Champion involved, that being a Lyra Valkyria, like having some sort of multi-women's match, like a multi-women's ladder match, I think that would have been awesome. But yeah, that to me is just absolutely crazy. And I don't see Lyra being a double champion. I don't see Bayley being being a tag team champion. I just don't see it. So we all had Raquel Rodriguez taking over. Which, don't get me wrong, they've been a good tag team. They put on some good matches, but again, to me, that's just a big waste and a big missed opportunity for all the women involved. Now, next up here, which I think is going to be the one of the steals when it comes to overall quality of the match. The buildup has been good as well. Is a triple threat match between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. Now, I have to double check on this one and make sure that we all have the same person. Yes, all right. So we're on the same page on this one as well. So this one here, we do have Io Sky retaining the women's world championship here. For me personally, I would hate to see her lose back-to-back WrestleManias. Obviously, last year she lost to Bayley. I would hate to see her lose again. And if that was the point, or that if that was like meant to be, like if she does lose, like I really don't see why they put the title on her just for her to drop it in a month. Granted, it's the unpredictability that they've been promoting for the last couple of months or so. But Yeah, I'm a big EO fan. EO is one of my favorite women on the division in WWE right now. So the fact that she would to lose again, that would be very disappointing. Obviously Rhea Ripley does not need the title. She obviously had it to lost it to EO a couple months ago. I don't think she's due for another title. I don't think she needs it as well. And same thing with Bianca. I think Bianca, while it's been a little bit since she's had a single title reign, I think again she's one of those women that can, benefit from not being a champion. And what I think I can see happen is, EO goes off, wins this, goes off and does her own thing, and then we can see that eventual Rhea Ripley Bianca Belair feud. And I'm so interested and like so what's the word I'm looking for? So shocked that obviously Bianca was getting booed in the international crowds. But the fact that that kind of translated over to the States, like to me, that was so shocking to me. Like in her SmackDown promo, or the promo that she did on Raw, I'm sorry. Like she wasn't wrong. Like she won the Elimination Chamber fair and square. She saw her best friend get her neck broken, and then Rhea Ripley just decides to put herself in the match. She lost her rematch as well, where that match went no DQ. But the fact that Rhea just stepped in during their contract signing, power bombed them both, and then took the contract, signed it, and then inserted herself into the match. Like I don't see why people are booing Bianca Belair. Like to me, she's the one that should be pissed off because like, hey, I won my match, I won my elimination match, and yet Rhea could just come in and throw herself in the triple threat. To me, that didn't make any sense as far as why the crowd is booing her. Friday will be interesting because obviously we'll have that WrestleMania crowd already. So I'm gonna be curious to see what that reaction is if they are on that card. Um, and of course, last but not least, I gotta get a drink of water here for this one because this is the big match here. This is the end all be all biggest match here and potentially all at WrestleMania potentially. And last but not least, we have John Cena versus the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Now, I looked at the list previously and we kind of chatted a little bit, or I messaged them and they didn't know we responded back. Again, they're all busy. But this one here, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Jim Bro has Cody Rhodes. BroPo has Cody Rhodes. And I myself, as you can tell by my shirt and to tell by the background, I got John Cena winning this one. Now, let me explain the thought process. And obviously, I could be wrong with all of these predictions. I really can be. We don't know anything. You can read dirt sheets all you want, but nobody really knows until the event happens. But for me, I I love Cody Rhodes. I really do. I was a big I'm a big Cody Rhodes fan. I collect a lot of his cards as well. Cody, CM Punk, John Cena, those are like my big three right now. Wide six as well. Um, but to me, the heel turn would be so like it would just be even sweeter if he finds a way to beat Cody Rhodes. And I think the heel turn has been well so far. I know some people were also complaining about, the lack of physicality between them before we last time that we saw John Cena on Raw. Um, but I think everything he said and everything that he's done and everything he's conveyed in his promos, like to me, I would feel like it's so lackluster if he does not win. And I think I personally would love if he's the one to beat Ric Flair's record. Now I don't hate Ric Flair, but I mean there's no denying that Ric Flair is not the greatest person in the world, and I think WWE, if they can find a way to get that off of him, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. Obviously, Randy Orton's also in the picture as well. He's a couple of more title reigns away, but yeah, I just feel like to kind of make this heel turn a little bit even more sweeter, to make it even more gratifying and showing that it wasn't for, just to do it because it's his last retirement tour. That yeah, I just feel like a 17 title reign. Like give it up to the summer. Like imagine all the feuds that he can have with the actual title. Heel John Cena with the title with against CM Punk. A heel John Cena versus Randy Orton. Like maybe they have that backlash match in St. Louis. Like that would be absolutely insane. Um, and I think Cody again is this is one of those guys where he it's just so over with the crowd. He's never going to lose his popularity with the crowd. If that was to happen, that would have happened already. Um, so I think it's just one of those things where it yeah. It can go back and forth. Honestly, you can make your case for Cody. You can make your case for John Cena. Um, but to me, like I as a John Cena fan and as somebody who is heavily invested like millions of other fans into this heel turn and into this retirement tour, I would just love to see him get one more reign and have that one more reign be as a heel. Obviously, he's not gonna retire with the belt. Somebody will have to beat him. Maybe it's Cody. Maybe he pays a favor and that's his last match. Who knows? I we don't know. Maybe it's Punk again. We don't know, but I would love to see that happen. It can go back and forth. Honestly, I'm torn between those two. I would love to see Cody retain. Wouldn't be mad about that. And of course, I would love to see John Cena win. And I think I wouldn't be mad about that either. But regardless, it's going to be very very exciting. I'm very very excited for this build that WrestleMania has had. I think it's been very, very well executed and going to be glued to my TV, to my iPad on this WrestleMania weekend and on this Easter weekend. But that's all I have for you guys. I do thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Collect the 123. Again, if you guys are not, please feel free to follow me at Moon3PO. If you guys are not yet, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps support me and it helps continue me to move forward with the podcast, move forward with my content that I do on my side by myself. I did a video where I broke down John Cena cards and their prices. We break down, top set, things like that. We broke down the WrestleMania patch. So technically, if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you got that information first before listening to the podcast. So if you guys haven't yet, please feel free to subscribe to the podcast and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe on Apple and Spotify. And of course, you can subscribe over to me on YouTube at Moon3PO. And if you guys aren't yet, follow me on socials, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram. Where else am I on? TikTok. Feel free to follow me on all those. I do my short form content on those platforms as well. We have a good time doing it. And then again, all the brothers' information will be down in the description down below as well. If you guys want to give him a follow, Dad who collects, he's a little more active on the card market stuff, does a lot more card content, posts pictures of cards, posts his rips. So if you want to go follow him, his stuff is down below. Jim Bro, he does his own thing, dude's on a different planet a lot of the time. So if you want to follow him, see what he's doing, I'll put his Instagram stuff and all his socials down there below. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for listening, tuning into this podcast wherever you tuned into, and stay tuned for that WrestleMania post WrestleMania podcast episode and YouTube video. I do thank you guys for listening, watching, and we will see y'all in the next one.